Hello, good afternoon. My name's Kelly Maynard. Thank you for joining us for our Business Events Australia Boost program webinar. Thanks so much. We're really excited. I'm the Head of Distribution and Partnerships for Business Events, and my colleague Emily Elkington is going to take you through the program today. So we really appreciate you taking the time. We're super excited. This program is all about industry and for you, hopefully to help drive some good business events for you in the current crisis situation. A couple of little bits of housekeeping today. This session will be recorded and we will answer questions at the end. So there's a Q&A section, so please feel free to drop in your questions and we'll endeavour to answer as many as we can today. Anything we can't get answered today, we'll certainly follow up with you. So thanks again. We're really excited that the Boost program is really an iteration of our partnership programs where we've had great success with our Business Events Bid Fund and our international focused advance program. So we're really excited to give you some details today about the Boost program. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Emily Elkington.
Thanks, Kel. Hi, everybody. So yes, as Kel said, it's terrific to be here launching the Boost program, a domestic partnership opportunity really designed to exactly what it says, boost the Australian industry during COVID. So as Kel said, I'm Emily Elkington. I'm the Partnership Marketing Manager for Business Events Australia. And today we're going to cover off all of the information you need to know about our new domestic program, the BE Boost program, and also answer any questions that you might have about who can apply for the program and what kind of activity it can support. So firstly, I thought it would be good to give you an overview of the, I think the screen's not. I thought it would be good to give you an overview of what we do here at Business Events Australia. So we're a specialist unit within Tourism Australia and really dedicated to increasing the consideration of Australia as a business events destination, as well as assisting industry to convert new business events and also to drive visitation to confirmed international business events held here in Australia. We have three main pillars that we work in: communications, trade distribution and partnerships. And those three key areas really work to two specific business event sectors: the association conferences and congresses and the incentive events. So as I mentioned, the three focus areas. The first one is building awareness through highly targeted marketing communications. The second is our distribution development via educational and trade events. And the third thing is strengthening conversion opportunities through our partnership initiatives. So what I wanted to do was talk to you a little bit about our international partnership programs that have been running for several years, just to give you a background of how successful partnering with Business Events Australia can be, and also to talk through some of the success stories and some of the great programs that we've worked on so far. It might start to get you thinking as well about some ideas of how we can partner and how we can help you through the Boost program. So our partnership model is really twofold. Firstly, all partnership activity that we do increases the consideration of Australia for business events, helps to drive conversion, and secondly, and probably most importantly, supports the industry. So our two existing partnership programs that help support our international remit is the Business Events Bid Fund program, which is really designed to increase the conversion of bids for new international business events during that critical bidding stage, and that's with financial support. And the second program is called the Advance program, and that offers the opportunity to partner with TA on marketing and distribution expertise to increase the number and value of business events for Australia, or to use our marketing to increase international delegate attendance at confirmed business events taking place here in Australia. So some of our success stories you can see there. We've delivered some great activity through our partnership programs. So I think just covering off a couple of the key ones from the last year, we have partnered with the Melbourne Convention Bureau on a virtual reality project through the Advance program. And we've created a tool that would allow Melbourne Convention Bureau to connect with international associations and professional conference organisers using innovative technology that really gave a 360 360-degree site tour of Melbourne and highlight what Melbourne has to offer. And the great thing about that was that it really any of the planners or anyone could use it at any time using any device and really help to convert them to choosing Melbourne for their event. This project also won a Skiff Design Award in the 2019 event, the 2019 awards, which was also great accolades for Melbourne Convention Bureau. The second one I'll just quickly touch on is we worked with Amway 2019, which was a large Chinese incentive. And we worked together on pre-event marketing, created a case study for publication. And that case study really helped to do proof of performance for Australia and show that we could manage these large Chinese incentives with success. And the last one we worked on was RoboCup, which was an international robotics competition and conference. And BEA supported them through social media and a digital media marketing campaign focused on delegate boosting in key international markets. And that one also resulted in a case study, which is great because we were able to leverage that and again, illustrate proof of performance for Australia and also some of Australia's smarts for the association market. So now onto the big Boost program, which is what we're all here to talk about today. So the Boost program is a domestic iteration of the Advanced program where industry can access funding support to deliver marketing or distribution projects to drive demand for business events in Australia. As I said, it's managed by us, by Business Events Australia, and it's a domestic partnership program for Australia, Australia's business events, and its core purpose really is to help boost desire for events domestically as the industry recovers from the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. The program will provide funding to domestically focused, industry-led marketing and distribution activity over the next 12 months, so the financial year 2020-2021, which will encourage the hosting of business events in Australia. So industry can access this support, A, for funding, but secondly, to leverage our expertise in marketing and distribution to really approach some projects that will get cut through and enable the business events industry to get back on their feet. Projects must be result-oriented and have the potential to influence decision makers and or convert new domestic business events. So this program really is, and we've said it before, we love the word boost, is all about providing a boost to the Australian business events industry. So I'm going to cover off a couple of the projects. This infographic kind of makes a very simplified version of the kind of activity that the Boost program can support. But really one thing we're looking for is innovative and creative ideas. And that can include things like content creation, virtual reality, PR and any media buy opportunities, direct marketing and digital campaigns. You'll see some of the ideas here in this infographic, marketing assets for bidding, and can help you to convert some new business events, some content and collateral creation around video, some still photography, maybe some podcasts or some audio kind of functions, digital marketing activity, including social media and help with some social channels, communication activity, including direct mail and microsites. I mentioned public relations and media buy, and any kind of bespoke marketing campaigns where you have an amplification strategy or you can prove how that's really going to help turn the needle and, convert a new business event to be held that might not have been held in Australia otherwise. This list is not exhaustive. As I said, we're just really keen to support ambitious and innovative ideas which inspire future event activity and really help to rebuild domestic business events. So applicants are encouraged to apply with any kind of ideas that really support that main objective. We go through a couple, there are some mandatory criteria and eligibility. I guess the most important one is that it really, whatever activity you're asking for support for, it really has to have the potential to influence decision makers of business events and help to drive that conversion of a business event to be held in Australia. It needs to be for domestic corporate events, incentives, conferences, exhibitions and associations. So unfortunately, this program is not going to support things like social and family gatherings, weddings, student groups, any kind of sports or leisure groups, any kind of festivals. So it is really business events focused. we would love it if you could be ambitious, innovative and creative with any of your ideas. So we're not so interested in that business as usual activity, but more kind of the out of the box stuff that you might not have tried if you hadn't have had some backing from Tourism Australia, both through financial means and also by us helping you. Have a funding, the minimum funding request is $10,000. And the other thing with this is that it needs to have a match contribution. So the match contribution just has to be of value. So it could be direct financial contribution, but we also understand in these times post-COVID that people's budgets might not be where they used to be. And so that contribution can also be in kind. So your time and what you're putting into it by leading the project. It can be a combination as well of direct financial and in kind. And most importantly, it needs to take place in the 2020-2021 financial year. So everything needs to be completed by 30 June 2021. So how to apply? So applications are going to be live from tomorrow, from 1 July, and they'll be open for 3 months. So we're giving everybody a good opportunity to have a think about what would really help you and what you really need to boost your domestic business events influence. And so we're keeping that open at this stage till the 30th of September. Download the prospectus. The application form is in there. The link is on the screen at the moment with all those details. We'll also send around a follow-up email after the webinar with all of the links and details that you need as well, so that should help. Successful applicants will be notified by 31 October, so we're really hoping by the end of October, early November, that we can kick off and get these partnerships and projects underway. Shortlisted applicants may be asked to present in person or probably more likely virtually at this stage to provide an overview of the proposed activity, to pitch their case, and that's going to be particularly important in some of those larger funding requests that we might see. And lastly, applications need to include a timeline of the proposed activity, some key performance indicators, and also some benchmarks to measure success. So we really want to see how whatever we've supported has helped and increased the conversion of new business events or increased attendees at events. So if we go through some key dates and deadlines for you, we've already spoken about applications being open tomorrow, and they will close on the 30th of September. Then we've got a period of a month where we'll be assessing applicant presentations might be required. We might contact you and need a bit more information about your application. And then by November, we're ready to kick off, and there'll just be a bi-monthly check-in. So just a bit of, progress reporting, checking in, seeing how the projects are performing. And then, as we mentioned, by 30 June, everything needs to be wrapped up. And then there'll be some post-event reporting, obviously, to cover off some of the KPIs. So I just thought I'd run through a couple of the frequently asked questions. We do have a frequently asked questions document that, again, I'll be sending around after the webinar, but I just thought it would be useful to go through a couple of the main ones that I think are going to be on everybody's mind and just easy to knock them off. So who can apply for the Business Events Boost program? So as I said, the program's open to applicants who have a demonstrated business events experience. So you need to have a bit of experience in the corporate incentives, corporate meetings, exhibition or association meetings market domestically. The program is not designed to support individuals who are looking to enter the business events market. So that's probably something to keep in mind. How do I know if my project is eligible for funding? So projects must demonstrate that, again, they have the potential to influence domestic decision makers for business events, or that they're going to help convert new business events to take place in Australia. So there's several mandatory criteria which we've already run through. And I just think it's important to make sure that whatever activity you have, and that's why the more innovative and creative, the better, that it's actually really going to move the needle and ensure that, we do boost back and ensure that business events domestically start to thrive again. So how much funding can I apply for? So we've got a minimum funding request of $10,000, which I've already mentioned. There is no maximum for what you can apply for, but I think the important thing to remember is that applicants need to have a direct financial contribution or a value in kind contribution. So you can't ask for 100K if you only have a match contribution of 40 grand. That's kind of where your limit states is what your match contribution could be. Can the funds be used to create a new event? Unfortunately, no. So the Boost program will not fund hard event costs, subvention activity or attendance at industry events. So the funds need to be used for marketing and distribution projects only. And lastly, I think one that I've had a couple of people already ask me about is, will the program support delegate boosting projects? So applicants for delegate boosting activities can apply, and we'll accept them and we'll assess them across our criteria. But we will need to assess whether there is a genuine need for support, as the program is really designed to help in the consideration and conversion of new domestic business events. So likewise, the same thing for distribution activity. Is that going to help convert those business events? So where can you find out more? We're going to answer a few questions now. We're hopefully going to cover off everybody's. We have the prospectus, which I'll again send around for you, but that is also on our website. And also you can email us at bea@tourism.australia.com. So I might open the floor up to questions and bring Kel back.
So one of the first questions was, how important is it to prove that that you've converted what would normally have been international business into domestic business? And is that important, or is it more about boosting the amount of domestic events held? So I might answer that one. It's not about international. This really is a domestic focused program. So it's all about helping convert domestic business. The next one was, Emily, can it include familials of qualified buyers?
Yes, so that's distribution activity will be assessed. So we will have a look at that. And if there's a really clear, KPI measurement around it, and it's really going to show that getting that familial or site visit to that destination is going to help convert a significant piece of business, then we will definitely look at it.
There's another question asking, what are the ways Business Events Australia would require applicants and specific projects to demonstrate results and ability to drive conversion? So I think that's around, KPIs and...
So that's quite specific to each individual project. So if we just use an example of a social media campaign, for example, that would be one way of measuring. That would be, how many extra followers have you got? How many views has that post got? How many shares has it got? How many likes? Things like that. Whereas I guess if we were looking at the other scope of maybe a piece of collateral that needs to be created, or a marketing campaign that needs to be created, then those KPIs and measurements would be quite different again. So I think the important thing would be to nut out what the KPIs or metrics would be for that specific activity, and how we assess how that activity performs.
The next question is, how many are going to be approved? I'm happy to answer that. There's not a set number. It's really, about assessing applications on merit and looking at each application and reviewing that. So there's no set number in terms of how many applications will be approved. The next question, Emily, is how much time do you expect the application process to take on average? Is it a significant application process, or more aligned to state government application processes?
So we've tried to streamline the process as much as possible, because we know filling out forms is boring and laborious. So we've made it as streamlined as we can. We do need to collate and collect a fair bit of data just for auditing purposes, and because it is funding. What I would say is when you go onto the online application, there's two options to apply for funding. There's one if the activity is really targeted to a specific event. So you've got actually like an event that's about to run or going to run, or you're bidding for to win. And so those details, you need like the event name, the dates that they're looking at, the delegate numbers, things like that. And then option two is more of a wide-ranging distribution or marketing initiative or activity that you might be looking at. And that again has different measurements around it. You obviously don't have, a date or a destination maybe even in mind, but that has other questions around the legacy benefits, why you need our help, why it's imperative to do that activity, why you think it's really important that we need to help support that activity. And so I guess I would say it probably would take 20, 25 minutes to fill out if you had all the information there ready to go and fill it out. Hopefully not too much of a deterrent.
The next question is, will the various state convention bureaus drive this for their own state?
They don't need to. So, I mean, I guess each individual state and destination might approach it in a different way with their members, but I would urge anyone who has a great idea and who meets those mandatory criteria to apply, because the funding is there to support anyone who is active in the business events market. But the bureaus might have their own way of running things in their own department.
The next question is this open to associations and corporate business events?
Yep, absolutely. As I just said, so anyone who's been active in the domestic business events market and can, has an idea that's definitely going to help to increase business events in Australia, to help boost the industry right now after COVID, and who has a really measured approach and can show how that activity and how these results are going to be collated and that it's going to have results, I urge them to apply.
There's a question, there's lots of questions coming in. We may not get to all of them, but we'll give it a go. Are applications more likely to be successful from individual organisations, such as regional venues or attractions, or a collaborative proposal where a number of organisations come together? And does the application need to be supported by a regional tourism board?
So all I would say there is that you do need to have that matched contribution component. So if you feel like if you join together and do a couple of industry together, that's going to strengthen your ask, how much you can ask for, how much match contribution you're going to have, how strong the results will be that activity drives, then I would say definitely do that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about boosting domestic business events. So if the activity can be proven that it's going to, do that, then we will support it, whether it's from an individual or from a, group of people or from a bureau.
Next question, can the Boost program be used to convert an annual national conference to be a hybrid virtual and face-to-face event?
So hybrid events is an interesting one. So what we're saying with that is that as long as the event is not 100% virtual, and so as long as it's got a 50% live element, 50% virtual element, then we're happy to look at it for support. So I think the 100% virtual, I think we're not so concerned about supporting those, because they're not helping drive business events, live business events, to get back on track. So we're that's not a hard and fast rule either, that 50-50, but we kind of want to see that at least half of it is going to be a live event, going back into a venue, going back to the AV guys get support, going back so that, other elements of our industry get support as well, and we get back on our feet.
There's a question about the reporting, what reporting is required, and if the project doesn't perform as expected. I'm happy to answer that. We put, once we confirm funding, we will work with you and put an agreement together, which has, as Emily mentioned, some key performance indicators and, some targets around, what will actually be delivered based on the funding. So at this stage, those reporting requirements are simple touch bases, obviously monitoring the KPIs, and why we ask for things like timelines as part of the application. So, we can get an idea of when the project's going to be delivered, and there'll be regular catch-ups to monitor the progress. Next question is, can conference venue operators apply or to market or promote to attract domestic conferences to a rural area? I think that one's a little bit tricky. I think it's all about, this program is all about promoting domestic events. So if you're in an area that has, capacity, if you're in a regional area that has infrastructure and capacity to host domestic business events, then it would apply. That might be one to have a conversation depending on which area you're from, to have a chat to us. But this is really all about promoting domestic business events. So if your area has, the infrastructure and capacity to do that, then it would apply. Our next question is, can a PCO apply for multiple projects in one go relating to multiple business events?
Yep. So this is, yes, absolutely. But what we would kind of say there is to have a bit more of a strategic approach about it. What we would prefer to do is do one partnership with that body PCO and have those several different events sit under that project. And so absolutely they all get their piece of the pie for the funding, but that's an overarching partnership agreement with that PCO, because some of the assets might be usable across a couple of different events. Some of it might be something that we've already gotten, a portion of it we need to create together. So I would say definitely, but maybe look at doing the one, and under on the online application, you can actually apply for several different events under the one application form.
There's a question around, can hotels and venues apply?
Yep, absolutely. So again, anyone that can influence a business events decision maker to hold an event within Australia can definitely apply.
Next question talks about existing events and how important is it that it has a long-term benefit, not just that it would happen within the financial year. So I think that's probably one thing, and I can answer that. This program is all about providing funding for activity that will be delivered this next financial year. So it has to be delivered within the next financial year is the focus. The funding is for the next financial year, and the partnership with successful applicants will be for activity or distribution or marketing that will be delivered within the financial year. Next question. If you would like to hold an event in October 2020, will the grant be approved earlier?
So I think that's kind of a case-by-case scenario. So if you did want to put in an application, tomorrow when it opens on 1 July, and it did have an urgency to it, I would just urge you, once you have applied for it, to let us know, flick us an email on that email address, which you'll also get an email from after this webinar, so you'll be able to find us, and just let us know and give us a heads up and let us know your timeframe and why your timeframe is so important and why it needs to be done quicker than the assessment process is going to take. And then we'll look at that case by case and where we can support.
I think there's a few questions that are asking the same things. If you can apply for more than one idea, I think we've answered that. Who can actually apply? I think we've answered that. Multiple applications. We've answered that. There's just last one here about key objectives in terms of the kind of projects we're looking to fund. I think we've pretty well, answered that as well. It's really looking to drive conversion and interest for domestic business events.
Anything that's going to influence someone to choose to hold an event anywhere in Australia rather than not hold the event at all or go offshore and hold the event.
And so one last question, I'm just conscious of time. Is the grant per specific event or more for the organisation itself to help promote business events?
So I think the important thing to note there is that, as I said in the application form, and this will all become clear when that goes live at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and you can click on and have a look at the options. There are two options. So there is an option for if it is for a specific business event in mind that you've got, the event name and dates or whatever. And then there's a second option for a wider overarching kind of marketing or distribution activity or project idea that you might be able to use across several events, or you might just want to use for awareness, and then that will help to convert a couple of events to be held in your area or in your product. Or so I guess that's kind of the application set up for that, and there's different questions depending on which way you're working and which way you want to see the results.
So there's a couple more questions we haven't answered, but we've answered most of them, I think. There's a lot of similar based questions, so we're just conscious of the time. So we will endeavour to come back to this, the last couple that are just coming in that we haven't got to yet. But thank you so much. And
like I said, you'll get a follow-up email at the end of the webinar that will have the prospectus, the link to the online application form that will be going live in the morning, the frequently asked questions document where a couple of those might be as well. And then also don't forget that you can always reach out to us at the bea@tourism.australia.com, and we can answer any questions for you there as well. Thanks, everybody.